these are bubbling away. So we are going to core this. We are going to use another knife to core this.
Wait. What did they just teach us about the cabbage?
What?
Hit the cabbage on the stem on your table, and you can pull it out?
Not coming out. I was just going to core it.
Okay.
If that wasn't hard enough, I'll do it again. What was that? Hey, Gardner, thank you for following. Hopefully we are entertaining you properly. And also, I was going to ask about that name. Do you, in fact, garden? And if so, what are you planning this coming spring? I have a small plot that my neighbors across the street are generous enough to let my family grow some vegetables on. Not much. It's a square foot garden. I've got 44 square feet or so, which is not much. But the tomatoes are the big one for me. I really do like fresh tomatoes and fresh herbs. So we do oregano. We do oregano and thyme are probably the big two, with some basil thrown in. That's starting to smell like it's simmering well, it's searing well. And we confirm that we're not going to sear the other side. Oh, we'll brown on the other side in a minute. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little more. We're going to sear that. I'm going to rotate this. Just make sure we are cooking evenly. And we are going to shred this cabbage. I chose this instead of the bench knife because I wanted a thinner blade just to get through the entire length of it, a longer blade. Let's get that into a container to save some space. What do you say, Kevin? Ooh, fresh tomatoes are best tomatoes, not like the cardboard tomatoes in the store. Store-bought tomatoes are trash. Now I will caveat that with, you can get some good vine on tomatoes, and like nice markets are getting better. But yeah, they're a fresh tomato, fresh homegrown tomato, or a farmer's market like tomato that was picked that day or the day before. Fantastic. I really didn't like tomatoes until I started like having my own like cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes right off the vine. It is amazing how much better those are. Let's get these flipped. Oh, yeah. I'm actually going to give that a little bit longer. That's not quite as much sear as I was hoping for. It's looking good. It needs a little more. Your garden is a 20-foot ride, so you tend to plant a bit sturdy plants you can visit the water twice a week in summer. Okay, so when you say garden, you're going to hardcore. Now, is that like a community garden that you've got a large plot in, or do you just have another set of land either on your property or just nearby that you utilize? That's very cool. We have the toddler, and especially in the summer, it was always a special thing to kind of go outside, water the plants, talk about what we're doing. Kicker is that they would like constantly try to eat the plants or pick the plants before they were ready.
How many tomatoes did we lose?
We lost so many tomatoes. Toddler tax tomatoes. Okay. So, got our cabbage shredded up once, and we're going to give our lentils a stir. They're still here for our veg. Again, whole idea right now is just simmer, simmer, simmer. Let them break down. We'll probably do our seasoning now. We'll deglaze the pan while that finishes. But we're just going to keep on bouncing back and forth. Let's see if these guys are ready to turn. I'm going to turn the heat up slightly. Are the tomatoes in the U.S. grown in greenhouses like big ones or outdoors? It depends. In the winter and early spring, they are grown indoors, and almost exclusively they are started indoors, unless you're in the South. For most of the U.S., and tomatoes are native to Latin America, they're very cold sensitive, especially starting out in seed. So you really got to start them. If you want to start them from seed, you got to start them now. Like, you got to start them in February or early March, so that way you're ready to transplant them into the ground come late April, early May. All right, that looks much better. Oh, and someone did use a channel port word. I thought it was hydrate. Yes, it was. Thick support main, making sure that I'm properly hydrated. All right, heat up slightly. We're going to give that another maybe 2 minutes or so. Then we're going to pull it out. We're going to add our bacon in. We will need another cutting board for the bacon because I do not have a large bowl available right now. Some of the best bacon you could buy. Trader Joe's uncured apple smoked bacon. No nitrates or nitrates added, but it's still, it's just so good. Trying to do the math, it looks like I have a garden of, so a garden of 1,000 square feet in a 3,000 square foot area with a small 100 square foot house for tools. That is awesome. That is a legit awesome garden structure. I'm envious. That is awesome. So do you then, it's a garden, do you do that for fun? Do you sell part of it? Is it for education? Like, do you do any kind of like training or like, plant husbandry or the like? Or is it just for you and your family? Kevin, it isn't the refrigeration that kills the taste. They pick the tomatoes while they're green and let them sit in a warehouse with ethylene. Do the same thing with overripe bananas. Yes, you can. The other kicker to that, and so Kevin, you're 100% right. They are picked way too early, and they're allowed to ripen in warehouses. They have also been selected over the past 100 years for sturdiness, resistance to lots of crops, quick growing, a lot of things that don't translate into good taste, but they translate into easy shipping to supermarkets. So it's a pretty bad one-two punch of not very tasty. Definitely leads to substandard tomatoes. Just for you and the girlfriend. Power to you. That's a crazy amount. I do gather that during the summer months, that probably ends up being a pretty reasonable amount of the total food you guys consume. That's seriously awesome. I am hoping for better luck this year. This past year, you would have hoped that during COVID quarantine, everyone's home, everyone's able to take care of their garden. Mine just didn't produce this year. It just was very substandard. A lot of crops that I've had great luck with in previous years died. I added in fertilizer in the beginning, added additional compost before I even planted anything, and just stuff didn't do well. I am hoping that this year to put down a bunch of clear plastic and do a and to kind of kill anything that might be in the soil, like solarize it, SOLAR, in case there's any other roots getting in or any pathogens, any fungus. You know, a couple hot days with the plastic wrap, the sun can get really hot. Next up is our bacon. Recipe calls for about 8 ounces of bacon. I'm doing 12 because bacon. Parents used to do gardening, but they moved, so I started gardening, so still learning. Cool. The danger is, though, that the tomato we have in almost one family, so one disease in tomatoes, could have a serious effect. Same with bananas. Again, yes, there's the breeding has definitely helped, but that's also why finding those cool heirlooms, and they're especially they're getting into style, as it were. So it's very fun to find like just good tomatoes that you enjoy buying. Cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes are another excellent decision because they tend to be a lot better taken care of, better packaged, a little more expensive per unit of tomato. But I think the flavor you get is 100% worth it. They're also easier to grow in commercial indoor setups. I'm just concentrating as I'm kind of like breaking this bacon down. Are you going to be getting the little ones soon?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, pardon me while I finish breaking this down. With the bacon in this recipe, we're going to want to go low and slow. It does look like there's a lot of fat in here, and that's because there is. But again, we're going to be adding an enormous amount of bacon and onions. Sorry, an enormous amount of cabbage, and we need that fat to really help it render down. Okay. Last couple of summers were very dry, so it didn't produce a lot because lacking rain. Twice a week isn't enough for some debates. You are right. Yeah. And just eating some bacon and onions. Dude, bacon and onions are fantastic. Like, I do that in a heartbeat. I'm pretty sure I have done that. Oh, that's right. I've got more bacon. Wife, I might have added too much bacon.
Oh, darn.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Eh. There might be some large pieces of bacon. There might be some small pieces of bacon.
Okay.
Sounds good, dear. Hey, who's that? Noob. 1881. Thank you for hopping on in. Hopefully you're doing well today. You're having some fun. We're cooking bacon right now. We'll be doing some braised chicken thighs with cabbage and bacon and onion. And I've got some Southwest soup, some lentil stew that I'm working on as well. Mulch to trough. Those are really good ideas to keep the moisture in. Jesus, you are right. I'm a big fan of square foot gardening. It maximizes space. With the plot that you're talking about, garden, you probably got a lot more to work with. Like you could probably do some rows. You might be able to do some square foot gardening though, like a bunch of 4x4 plots. That might be a good way to also keep the water into a raised bed with a really heavy like mulch bottom could work as well. There's some fun ways to automate that as well with regards to watering. You can like set it so you know get into it. You can just hook the hose in, and it can run a soaker on the inside. So just kind of like hook it up, run it for 15 minutes, or run all of them together. So this is going to just until the bacon starts softening, because we're going to braise the bacon as well. So this is just to really let the bacon start releasing some fat. The other benefit of doing the chicken first and having the chicken render the fat is that helps give the bacon a jump start cooking and getting its own fat kind of taken care of. Again, nice little 1-2. We're going to add our spices and seasonings now to our, let me move this over. Let me get this out of the way. Let me move this over so you can follow along. And I got another cutting board. We don't need it because I'm just going to add some garlic. We're going to add our spices and seasoning now. I have a coffee grinder that is dedicated for spices. We are going to add 1 packet of Saison Goya. It's MSG, garlic powder, oregano, salt, black pepper, paprika. We're going to add a little bit of paprika. We don't need much because we just added that. Smoked paprika. I've got some cumin, about a tablespoon of cumin. I am eyeballing it just because I've done this so many times. I know the amounts that I want. Maybe about a teaspoon of coriander. We're going to add some oregano. Mulched or raised beds. Yep, raised beds, square foot gardening. Able to only get enough to mulch pepper plants. And the peppers need, so that's great. That's the plan this year, making 2 raised beds, 1 for asparagus, 1 for ginger, 2 are going to horizon. Oh, that is awesome. That's going to be some seriously savory root vegetables. Nice. Everything is yummy, fresh from the garden. It really is. It really, really is. It is surprising in the best of ways how much of a difference it makes. Loud noises, pardon me real quick. All right, there's our spice mixture. We're going to add that right in. We're going to add a splash of vinegar. That's going to help deglaze the bottom of the pan. We're going to stop for a second. I'm going to check the bacon over here. I'm also using this wooden spoon to scrape up any bits that start sticking, including from the chicken earlier. That's still flavor that we need. Ooh, I wanted a chipotle pepper, so I will grab a chipotle. Let's add in some freshly cracked black pepper. Maybe some nutmeg in the spice mix. You're talking nutmeg into this. I've got some nutmeg right here. I would think I would probably rather do cinnamon. A little splash of cinnamon added in. But nutmeg is an interesting... I'm not opposed. How about this? If people have an idea, if they want to do nutmeg or they want to do cinnamon, or both. I think either one is a good call. I'm not opposed to it. I need to get the amount of water I need ready. I'm just using filtered water from the fridge. Again, I've got good drinking water. I could eat it. It is still, like, we've had some icy days, so I taste a lot more chlorine and salt in the water, the tap water. That's the biggest reason I use filtered. When I'm brewing, I don't care. I'll use whatever. But for, like, sensitive things like this, especially something boiled or being reduced, I'd rather use filtered water, especially in the winter, again, due to the chlorine being utilized. Okay, here are our French green lentils. Might try that next time with cinnamon. Log out for the night, have fun. Lauren Savior Chooses, thank you for hopping on as always. I definitely appreciate you coming by. It's fun to talk. Good to get the perspective from across the world. Yeah. Okay, so we got our water in our electric kettle going. All right, it is on. Our bacon is starting to turn brown on the edges. Let me switch the cams just so you can get a better look at how this bacon is doing. It is upside down. Let's fix that. You know what? There. Magic. That's looking pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to add our onions to that mix now. Now that's going to be another 5 minutes or so. After that, we'll add the cabbage. I could just like eat that as it is. I'm trying. Do I need onion stock or? Yeah, this does call for stock. So I'm gonna go grab some stock real quick. Now I will fully admit I forgot that I needed like 3 cups of stock for this chicken stock. So I've got a container right here. It is frozen. It's from the deep freeze. So I'm going to warm it with some water so I can slide it off and then just nuke it. In a ceramic bowl, one of the best uses for the microwave is defrosting things. Unfreezing things, really. So that's defrosting. Another important thing we need to do. Maybe get a beer. It's after 5 o'clock. Another beer. This is a nice Fatheads Hop Juju. Oh yeah. Ba-ba! Oh, you're still inverted, aren't you? I think that's one of the only cameras that I have that's still inverted. I think I switched all the others just because I realized it was a lot easier to talk to you guys. And gals. And non-binary pals. Mostly because it doesn't care. All works. All right, we're going to get a little bit of vinegar in this, as I said, and a chipotle pepper. Oh, cooking bacon is so good. That should have released. Let's find out. Suction cupped. Come on. Come on. Success! Clonk. All right, let's get them into the microwave for about 5 minutes. How are we looking over here? We are looking, ooh, toasty! Toasty! Let's get our cabbage thrown in there. Again, it does look like a lot of oil. I agree. A lot of fat. A, fat is flavor. B, as I said, cabbage reduces down like nobody's business. We're throwing a lot of cabbage in here. Ooh, the color does blow that out a bit, doesn't it? inside of cabbage is pretty darn pale. Hey, who just followed us or did something? You're gonna say, take a dookie on me. That does not sound great. that's a new one for a name. Can I just call you the Dukester? Just go with the Dukester for short. I'm gonna go with that. Unless I hear otherwise, I'm just gonna refer to you as the Dukester. But take a dookie on me. Thank you for following. Yeah, cooking questions, concerns, want to know what's going on, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're just going to be braising a whole bunch of cabbage, as well as some chicken thighs, and we're going to be hopefully finishing up our Southwest soup once I kind of get all those components in order. The other reason I'm doing the Southwest soup, as I said, that's for later. That's for like, maybe tomorrow's lunch or later in the week. So it really helps to prep and plan. And I just know that the meal is at a point that I can walk away. I don't need to babysit it. I don't need to worry about it. I'm going to concentrate on tonight's dinner because, the wife and the kiddo will be getting home, probably within the next 10 minutes. And I want to have a meal ready for them, at least reasonably quickly after getting home. That, I know it can sit there without any input from me pretty much for the next like 2 to 3 hours if I had to go that long. And if I'm going to be in the kitchen for this time anyway, why not kind of do multiple things in parallel? All right, so that's got a nice stir. We're going to let that go for about 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to kick the heat up ever so slightly to help it encourage it along. That's a good beer. That is a really good beer. Okay, so that's in the microwave going down. So we're gonna like 4 to 5 minutes for that. We're gonna add mustard and vinegar to deglaze. Let's get our mustard and vinegar out. I believe this